Evening and welcome to the Problem of Being Awake. My name is Ben. I'll be your host. And I wanted to talk about real life, against digital life. And the premise I'm coming from here is I expect that I'm speaking to an audience who already knows there's a big problem there. But if I'm not, that means you're on it all the time. And that's social media and the internet. So the piece is called Real Life versus Digital Life. Partially because of research I was doing for a book, this came up. And so the digital life of people who are Generation Z is very different from what we've ever experienced. Of our kids, and a lot of people under 30 prefer their virtual lives to their real lives. Now that's a sad indictment on society, but not unacceptable and not unexpected. Mark Zuckerberg gave Facebook to the internet, and there's a great article written about him saying Facebook, the hero of the 20th century, the villain of the 21st. Now I thought that was quite clever because it wasn't actually having a go at him, it was just saying what he unleashed by unleashing social media would end up being a massive destructive force in the next century. So social media has played a massive role in you to create more than, or let's say you suffer from mental health, you're in that Generation Z, you've been taught communism and CRT and DEI and all the rubbish stuff that's filled your head. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, reality sounds rather nasty because you've been taught at school that your reality will be nasty. And I think that is the most savage thing that could have been done. The corruption of our school children has taught an entire generation that the world has to be full of hate. And you must be hateful in your response to hate. It's dismal. There's also an element, if you look at the protests, let's say New York, they have 15 pro-Palestine protests a day. Why? Because it's quite closely linked with the psychology behind gamification. You're so into something, and let's say protests at the moment, the thing they're most against is having to take any offence. They're supposed to be you shouldn't be allowed to offend any of them. It's bullshit. They're out of reality. We don't have to really pigmatise this and make this actually law. No one's more special than anyone else. Sorry, end of on that one. But gamification theory is kind of a delayed usage of the human body, so you won't feel a need for water, you don't feel a need for food, the bathroom, dehydration and stuff while you're playing the game. The minute you stop, you come out of that state of gamification. You go, wow, I need pints of water, loads of food, and go to the loo and all that. Well, imagine that extended out over a week. Let's say you have a weekly protest with a midweek protest meeting. It's basically stretching this, I hate Israel, I hate America, I hate England, I hate Europe. I'm a white person and I hate myself for being white because I've been taught to do that. But ultimately, although I'm projecting a lot of hate onto subjects like Gaza, the real hatred I have is right inside my heart, which has yet to be healed. Entire people's puberty has been not optional for them, and I'll go into that in a different video. But you know what every generation has been through before is so much better, so much deeper, so much more released into family values, core family values. We need those back because the youth don't have them, or that generation did not get that kind of teaching. So Gen Z got indoctrinized to hate, and now, they're calling publicly in London, in New York, in large parts of America, in Paris, about 9 European countries, they have at least one weekly protest. And these people don't know what they're protesting for. What they're really protesting for, I think, is deep in their souls. And that is a desire to feel some sort of fulfillment. Now, the problem of attaching fulfillment to a group is you've immediately created your own religion. If you're fulfilled, if you hand your your responsibility to God, you immediately declared yourself to be a full believer in every part of that religion, and that He will take care of your life. So when they do that, so hedonism is the new God for the woke, and if you look at the definition of hedonism, it's basically taking too much of everything all the time, more than you deserve, always wanting to consume more things that make you pleasurable in the instant or short term. Something around that. That's an approximation of the definition. And we're not seeing that. Also, 2019 World Health Organization, which is corrupted by Qatari money big time, released gender dysphoria from being a mental health disorder. At that point, the highest estimate was 0.004% of people had it. Now, the T movement is sometimes represented up to 30% in protest groups, often 20, very often 10. But even if it had gone to 1%, that would be direct scientific evidence that increase was down to it being popular and available and nothing before. Because if it had been a thing that people had been hiding all their lives, and the risks of suicide are so high, which they are, they're slightly higher than if you just put anxiety and depression. You had gender dysphoria, it's higher. It's the same for any. If you had PTSD, it's higher. I have PTSD. Anyone think that was a good decision? Because if you haven't noticed what the T's have done to the LGBTQIA plus infinity sign, short version of the acronym, you know they're out of control. You know they're trying on new ideas desperately. And when they change their ideas, it is important to kind of look at why, and I think it is because of that self-hatred. You can't get away from yourself, but maybe you just create one more online avatar, one more digital deity, then you'll find your home within the groups. The problem is the groups are there to function as a group, not as individuals, and so therefore they're not good to give individual help. If you have genuine gender dysphoria, you are doing a disservice. If you are inside that mob, you need to be with professionals working it out so you get the best results for you. Because sex changes are a brutal, barbaric child butchery things should be in the only extremes, and not before being 18. That was what it was, and that was fine. But now, no, there's PPS and stuff. It's not fine. So they've grown up online, and we've got to acknowledge lockdown had a big part of their education halt. Lockdown will be the most significant emotional memory of the last 100 years. I'll say that. So that's the state of our youth. And unfortunately, we can't bring them back yet. Because I don't see any of them agreeing to change their positions, and we cannot agree with theirs. The best gender-affirming care is affirming child butchery, but it's basically saying you approve your child can have these hormones, puberty blockers, which sterilise and leave you, and cross-sex hormones, which leave you unable to receive sexual pleasure. We've stopped it in the UK for pre-18, and it needs to be stopped worldwide. It's absolutely the HAS report and the WPATH report by Michael Schellenberger, the link below in environmentalsuccess.org, has shown the danger of trans gender affirming care, but not the success. It actually has a failure rate of 1 in 2 per operation. Suicide rates are highest 2 years after the operation, and they're picking on more and more young women. So I think I speak for all of us when I can tell them to leave our women alone. And I'm going to speak to people who have their kids who that digital reality for them is much more important than real life. Because if you ask a lot of people in that spectrum, it's certainly more people prefer their digital life to their real life. That number, I've heard it up to 85%. I've also heard it about 65%. I haven't heard the study done where real life trumped digital life, as a whole. So I think it's important we address this and get this sorted quickly. Digital reality has taken over for Gen Z over real reality. And that is a big problem. They prefer digital, they have multiple digital avatars and only one avatar in real life. which they don't like because they don't like real life or the places where they live it. So I'll leave it there. That's all from me. Always a pleasure, and never a short. You be good, I'll be lucky.